This is my uncle, my daughters, and my niece. They're gonna be here listening to my speech. Okay, you can see the screen. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm Stephanie Snowden. I'll be doing my speech for. My specific purpose is to persuade my audience that ADHD is often overlooked and in girls, and that greater awareness is needed. My central idea is since ADHD presents differently in girls, it's sometimes dismissed due to cultural beliefs, and many girls go undiagnosed and do not receive the support they need. Imagine trying your hardest to focus, but your mind keeps drifting, and instead of getting help, people think you're not trying hard enough. When most people think of ADHD, they picture a hyperactive little boy who can't sit still. And for a lot of girls, it doesn't look like that at all. It can show up as zoning out, overthinking, being overly talkative at times, or constantly feeling overwhelmed. Since those signs don't match up with what people expect, they're often ignored or misunderstood, especially in environments where ADHD isn't really talked about or taken seriously. Research shows that both gender differences and cultural beliefs influence how ADHD is recognized and diagnosed. Psychiatry Redefined, Science Direct, and Med Central. Today I'll discuss how ADHD presents differently in girls, how cultural beliefs can delay diagnosis, the impact of masking, and why greater awareness is necessary. To understand why ADHD is often missed in girls, it's important to first look at how it actually presents. How ADHD presents differently in girls. ADHD doesn't show up the same way in girls as it does in boys, and that's part of the problem why it goes unrecognized. Boys are more likely to be loud, hyper, and disruptive, which usually gets them attention quickly. Girls, on the other hand, are often calmer, more inattentive, or even labeled as chatty, or easily distracted in ways that seem benign. Instead of those behaviors being seen as possible signs of ADHD, they're often brushed off as personality traits, which means girls are never evaluated in the first place. As a result, many girls are misdiagnosed with anxiety and depression. While those conditions can exist on their own, they also commonly occur alongside ADHD, which can make it even harder to recognize what's actually going on underneath. Research shows that these differences contribute to noticeable gaps in diagnosis, with girls often being diagnosed later in life or not at all. Psychiatry Redefined and Science Direct. Whereas symptoms explain part of the issue, the way ADHD is viewed in certain environments can make it even harder to identify. Cultural differences on ADHD diagnosis. In addition to how symptoms present, the way ADHD is viewed in different cultures can influence whether it is taken seriously. In some households, ADHD isn't always seen as a medical condition. It can be viewed more as a discipline issue or something that can be fixed with more effort or structure. There can also be hesitation around labeling a child or concerns about medication that can prevent families from even wanting to explore diagnosis at all. This is something I experienced personally. Growing up in a Hispanic household, ADHD wasn't something we talked about or really believed in. I remember my mom telling my pediatrician that she didn't want me to be medicated, even though there were signs that I had ADHD. Because of that, I didn't get educated about my condition, and it was something I had to deal with on my own. As I grew older, I forgot I even had ADHD altogether. According to Med Central, research shows that cultural beliefs and stigma can delay diagnosis, especially in communities of color. When ADHD is misunderstood or dismissed, many girls don't get clarity. They learn to hide what they're going through instead. Masking and its emotional impact. Many girls develop what is known as masking, which means they hide their symptoms to appear normal or well behaved. This may force them to stay disorganized, avoid drawing attention, pushing through situations even when they feel overwhelmed. From the outside, everything may seem fine, but internally it's a complete different experience. Over time, this leads to low self-esteem, constant self-doubt, and thoughts like wondering why things feel harder for you than everyone else, or questioning if you're smart enough. Research from the Wave Clinic and ADHD Insight Hub explains that masking is exhausting and often leads to delayed diagnosis, especially in girls. Because of these long-term effects, it becomes clear that this is not just a personal struggle, but something that requires more awareness and change. Solutions and the need for greater awareness. In order to address this issue, it's important there needs to be more awareness of how ADHD presents in girls. Educating families is an important first step, particularly in communities where ADHD may be misunderstood or dismissed. Teachers and healthcare providers also need to look beyond the typical signs and pay attention to less obvious symptoms that are easier to miss. Encouraging earlier screening, along with having more open and honest conversations about mental health, can help girls receive support sooner rather than later. Even small changes in awareness can make a meaningful difference in how early someone is recognized and understood. ADHD in girls is often missed not because it isn't there, but because it doesn't match what people expect to see. We talked about how it presents differently, how cultural beliefs can delay the diagnosis, and how masking can affect someone emotionally over time. For many girls, including myself, the issue is not a lack of ability, but a lack of understanding and recognition. Even now, I sometimes struggle with the idea of needing help, especially when it comes to taking medication, because I've been so conditioned to think I should be able to handle this all on my own. Ultimately, increasing awareness and challenging these assumptions can help ensure that girls are getting the proper diagnosis earlier instead of spending years trying to figure out something that was there all along. Okay, you got it.
Hey.